Episode 4. Start Line. Just before the practical test of the UA entrance exam begins, all the participants stand in awe over the sheer size of the training field. Izuku notices Ochiko Uraraka, the girl who had saved him from falling earlier, and wants to thank her, but he is stopped by fellow participant, Tenya Ida. Tenya had yelled at him earlier to stop muttering in the auditorium. Tenya warns Izuku not to distract Ochiko, while everyone else talks about how they've already counted him out of passing the exam. The exam suddenly begins, and everyone rushes inside the test area, leaving Izuku behind. He follows closely behind but is halted and an enemy robot worth 1 point attacks him. He is saved by Yuga Aoyama, who uses his naval laser to destroy the robot before moving on to others. Izuku scrambles around the area looking for robots to destroy but finds that the vast majority have been taken out by other participants. Elsewhere, the panel of UA judges discusses what it takes to pass the exam, including speed, strength, and a calm mind. 1 week later, Izuku receives his examination results, and after not talking to All Might during that time, he expects to fail. The school sent the aforementioned results via a holographic message inside an envelope, with All Might delivering the news. All Might apologizes for not contacting Izuku earlier and announces that he will be a new teacher at UA High. All Might explains that although Izuku did fine on the written test, he still scored 0 points on the practical, upsetting Izuku. All Might continues, showing him a video of Ochiko asking present Mike to give her points to Izuku because he saved her. All Might explains that the judges were looking for more than just defeating enemies. The judges rewarded rescue points for heroic deeds during the test. Izuku scored 60 rescue points, giving him more than enough to pass the exam. Following the practical test for the entrance exam, the judges panel reviews the student scores. They take care to notice that Katsuki Bakugo scored the most points, but without a single rescue point. Meanwhile, Izuku Midoriya didn't score a single combat point. Izuku meets All Might at Takoba Municipal Beach Park, where All Might congratulates Izuku for being accepted into UA High School personally. All Might then tells Izuku that he will have to keep adjusting to the one-for-all quirk, using the image of an egg in the microwave as a basis. Come April, the UA academic year begins and Izuku prepares to leave when his mother stops him and wishes him good luck. Izuku eventually arrives at Class 1A, hoping that perhaps Katsuki and Tenya aren't in his class, but these hopes are immediately dashed when he finds them both arguing inside. Tenya notices Izuku and introduces himself properly. Then Ochiko arrives and does the same while praising Izuku for saving her. Katsuki notices and recalls how he confronted Izuku after passing the test. He tried to bully Izuku for getting into UA, thinking he must have cheated without having a quirk, but Izuku stands up to him for the first time. Ochiko is interrupted when Shota Aizawa arrives and reveals himself to the class as their homeroom teacher. He doesn't waste any time and hands out PE clothes to the students and leads them to the PE grounds. Shota explains that the class will participate in a quirk apprehension test that will test their quirks since they were not able to use their quirks in middle school. Shota uses Katsuki as an example. Katsuki only threw about 64 meters in middle school, but after using his quirk, Katsuki proceeds to throw over 700 meters. At first, the students are excited to participate, but Shota quickly shuts them down and announces that the student who ranks last in total points will be deemed hopeless and immediately expelled. The class is shocked by his announcement and Ochiko declares that the rule is unfair. Shota replies that the world is unfair and it's a hero's job to combat that unfairness. While the quirk apprehension test begins, All Might worries that Shota will single out Izuku almost immediately and goes to watch it in person. The test is composed of students competing in a series of physical tests. During the trials, every student uses their quirks to excel while Izuku struggles since he can only use one for all at 100% or not at all. Katsuki does well with each test thanks to the versatility of his quirk. All Might takes in the moment, impressed Izuku focused one for all into his fingertips. Izuku's action not only receives praise from All Might, but Ochiko as well. Katsuki is enraged. He is not only confused about Izuku's new abilities, but enraged at the thought that Izuku had been lying all their lives. Katsuki lashes out in anger at Izuku, but is caught in Shota's capture weapon. Shota warns the students not to make him use his quirk too much because it causes dry. Then he moves on to present the test results which has Izuku placed last. Izuku fears that despite his hard work he has failed out of the class anyway, but this is dispelled when Shota reveals the expulsion rule was a ruse to bring out the best in the class. He dismisses the class and has Izuku sent to Recovery Girl to heal his finger. Afterwards, All Might confronts his pupil's teacher, calling him a liar because he had once expelled an entire class. Eraserhead explains that Izuku is above the 0 mark, and he can expel anyone who drops below the 0 mark at any time. Recovery Girl heals Izuku's finger, but at the cost of his stamina. The first day of school ends and an exhausted Izuku runs into Tenya and Ochako, realizing that he has made some friends at school. The teams are drawn from lots and All Might announces that Team A, Izuku and Ochako, will face Team D, Katsuki and Tenya. Team D heads inside first and finds the fake missile inside. Still confused, Katsuki asks Tenya about Izuku's quirk, and Tenya replies with a question of why Katsuki hates Izuku so much. 5 minutes pass and Team A enters the building, but before getting too far they are attacked by Katsuki. His sneak attack only manages to damage half of Izuku's mask, the latter was able to evade while saving Ochako. Katsuki attacks again, but Izuku catches his swing. Then Izuku's shoulder tosses the surprised Katsuki into the ground, garnering praise from his fellow classmates watching from the projection room with All Might. Izuku reveals he has been taking notes on Katsuki for years with the same notebook the latter burned. Izuku knew that he starts every fight with a right hook and was able to counter. Izuku doesn't back down from Katsuki, telling his former bully that he is no longer the weak and defenseless Deku. Infuriated at his audacity, Katsuki voices his hatred of Izuku.